Imagine being judged, mocked, and humiliated simply for who you are and the challenges you face. This is a harsh reality for Marcia, a blind black woman navigating a world already filled with obstacles. But one fateful day, things take a turn for the worst when she encounters an officer whose duty was to protect, but instead, he chose to harm. In a moment of blatant abuse of power, the officer not only ridicules Marcia, but cruelly destroys her cane, leaving her stranded and vulnerable. The pain doesn't end there, but what he didn't count on was the quiet strength of Marcia's son, Marcus. Determined to fight back, Marcus takes matters into his own hands, not with anger, but with an incredible act of justice that no one saw coming. Stay tuned to see how this young man's actions spark an unbelievable chain of events you won't forget. Marcia had always been a pillar of quiet strength. Losing her sight at a young age taught her how to navigate life with resilience, even when the world wasn't kind. She lived in a small neighborhood where most people knew her and admired her courage. But on this particular day, everything changed. She was on her way home from the grocery store, tapping her cane against the sidewalk, when a police car pulled up beside her. The officer, someone she didn't recognize, stepped out and began questioning her in an intimidating tone. Marcia explained calmly that she was just heading home, but her answers seemed to provoke him more. He made a cruel comment about her blindness, followed by laughter. Then, without warning, he snatched her cane and broke it in half, leaving her stunned and helpless. From a distance, Marcus saw everything. His heart pounded as he clenched his fists, vowing this injustice wouldn't go unanswered. Marcus had never felt rage like this before. Watching his mother, a woman who had endured so much in her life, be humiliated and left vulnerable by someone who was supposed to serve and protect filled him with a mix of anger and heartbreak. He hurried to her side, gently helping her to her feet. Marcia's hands trembled as she clutched the broken pieces of her cane, her face a mask of confusion and pain. "Why would someone do this?" she asked softly, her voice breaking. Marcus didn't have an answer, but he knew he couldn't let it end there. As they made their way home, he listened to his mother's quiet sniffles, and his resolve grew stronger. Meanwhile, the officer walked away, smug and unbothered, as if his actions had no consequences. What he didn't know was that Marcus had caught his badge number and was already formulating a plan, one that would expose the truth in a way no one could ignore. Marcus couldn't sleep that night. The image of his mother's trembling hands and the smug look on the officer's face replayed in his mind like a haunting loop. He knew reporting the incident through traditional channels might lead nowhere, especially in a system where accountability often felt like an illusion. But Marcus was resourceful, and he had something powerful on his side, his determination and a plan to make the truth impossible to ignore. The next morning, while Marcia rested, Marcus got to work. He started by reaching out to neighbors and local community members who had witnessed the incident. Slowly, he pieced together statements, phone videos, and even security footage from a nearby store. As he gathered evidence, he learned this wasn't the officer's first act of misconduct. With each discovery, Marcus felt the weight of what he was uncovering. This was no longer just about his mother. It was about fighting for justice on a larger scale. Just as Marcus thought he had everything he needed, something unexpected happened. A neighbor who had provided a key piece of footage hesitated and suddenly withdrew their support, claiming they were scared of retaliation. Word had spread about Marcus's efforts, and it seemed like fear was creeping into the community. People started avoiding his calls, their whispers of "what's the point?" lingering in his mind. Marcus felt the weight of it all pressing down on him, but just when doubt threatened to stop him, he received an anonymous message. The sender claimed to have inside information about the officer's history and urged Marcus to meet them. Despite the risk, Marcus decided to go. When he arrived at the agreed location, a figure stepped out of the shadows, a former officer who had worked alongside the one who had attacked Marcia. What they revealed about the officer's past made Marcus's heart race. This wasn't just about his mother anymore, it was much bigger than he could have imagined. The former officer handed Marcus a folder thick with documents, exposing years of complaints and buried misconduct by the officer who had hurt Marcia. It was a shocking trail of abuse, protected by layers of silence and loopholes. Marcus realized this wasn't just about one man's actions, but a system that allowed him to thrive unchecked. Armed with the evidence, Marcus worked tirelessly to put together an airtight case, enlisting the help of community leaders and a civil rights attorney. When the story finally broke, it sent shockwaves through the town. News outlets picked up the story, and the officer was placed under investigation. But just as Marcus felt a sense of victory, he received a call. His mother, Marcia, was being praised as a hero, but she didn't want the spotlight. This was about justice, not revenge, she told him. In the end, Marcus realized that his fight wasn't just about exposing the truth. It was about inspiring others to stand up, no matter how daunting the odds. As the dust settled, the officer was formally charged and removed from duty, a small but meaningful victory for Marcia and her family. The community, inspired by Marcus's determination, began to speak up about their own experiences, fueling a larger conversation about accountability and justice. Marcia, though hesitant at first, became a quiet symbol of resilience. She often reminded Marcus, "It's not about what they take from you, but what you choose to do after." Marcus returned to his daily life, but he carried the lessons from this journey with him. He saw the power of unity, the importance of persistence, and how one voice could ripple into something much greater. While the scars of that day remained, they didn't define Marcia or her family. They defined a moment of change. Their story became a reminder that even in the face of cruelty, courage and compassion can light a path forward.